That age when you start going out, whatever age that is, it's like first girlfriends, you know, it's got a sort of magic to it.
I would get on 2 night buses and go down to the Fridge in Brixton to go to like Talking Loud at the Fridge. I used to go to Soul things or Cold Cut things.
I used to go on a Monday night to Bar Rumba, to like That's How It Is, Giles Peterson's night. Then on Thursday, Movement was there.
My earliest, clearest experiences are of going to Club United Nations in Tottenham, Mampy Swift and Kenny Ken and all those kind of guys.
Maybe would have gone to like the Trocadero and got mugged first.
First things that spring to mind is Dim Walls and High on Hope and Talking Loud and there.
So I used to go to Camden Palace on a Tuesday night. I used to walk there and walk back from Archway. It was what, at that point, I lived for.
I remember hearing Made You Look by Nas for the first time in a club in New York when DJ Enough was playing, and just feeling like all the wind, like just being so fucking like punch drunk and thinking like if I can't own this record like in the next, before I go home, like I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with myself.
My boss pulled me to one side and was like, no, you're doing the job, but you're also coming in like with massive bags under your eyes, you know, a bit of alcohol on your breath. It's not really a good look. And then, you know, I remember they made me interview for my own job. And at that point, I was kind of like, you know what, like, forget this.
It was really the only way you could hear new music, other than a bit of pirate radio. And to think of that now is quite absurd almost.
Being involved in things that got shut by the police was a sort of factor for quite a few years. You know, it did engender quite a rebellious kind of feeling, which I think was obviously quite healthy.
Every record that I heard in the clubs that I went to early on had a sense of escapism to me.
You're not really thinking about what you're doing on Monday morning, you're thinking that Sunday night at 10 o'clock, oh, I fancy a little bit of that.
DJ Slimzy.
Slimzy's intros.
Yo, pump, not wait in the gym. Glass full of Alizé right to the brim.
EZ's intros.
DJ.
Those type of things were like, oh, this DJ's different. Oh, this DJ's got his own thing.
He is like part of the reason of why I DJ, how I DJ sometimes.
Rotation, which was a night that I used to go to every Friday. Really, we started Yo-Yo as their one stopped and we love their one, so maybe we can try and do one ourselves.
This selection of music was stuff that I love that you really didn't get to hear in New York played in that way. It's like a very English interpretation of black music.
Trash sprung out of the fact that I didn't need to answer to anybody else and I could do something on my own terms. The fact that there'd be like a club that was predominantly indie music. Moving into a venue like that was the first time it happened.
When I started Deviation, was doing it on a Wednesday night on purpose because it was the hardest night of the week. Put my own sound system in every week and ran the club at a loss for 3.5 years actually.
The thing that I think is great about residencies and clubs that run weekly is that you don't just have the tension of the evening, you have the tension of the whole week.
It's building that trust, isn't it? A following of people who trust what your judgment is, and I suppose you trust that they'll accept it.
One of the most influential music spaces of all time was Metalheads at the Blue Note. And when I was in that environment, I wasn't thinking like I want to be in the DJ booth. I was thinking, how lucky am I to be standing on the dance floor? You'd see people you knew there and you'd be having a chat, and then another tune would start mixing in and both people would just naturally stop and just listen to the next tune coming in, wait to see what was in, and then they'd continue their conversation again.
I think probably something like Forward was probably the last incarnation of that type of thing.
I've been away for a year, I'm sway for a year. Here's a few new stars, I've got 2 new cars, I'm with. I've been from dough to broke, how that's a fact, because I've been.
Underground music is just infinitely accessible in London.
You know, maybe grime was like the last sort of pre-internet great movement.
Maybe types of parties have changed a little bit since I was a teenager, but London is still as vibrant and exciting and interesting as ever.
There being real magic in being in those places and real escape in being in those places, but actually that not being any different to the feeling I still get if I'm somewhere and it's good.
Something that's always like almost boringly repeated about London, about how what a melting pot it is of music and stuff. But the thing is, it's fucking true, man. It's so true, and it's like, that's the reason we're all still here.
Well, that's easy. Shut the paint from here to no breezy. I was in ministry, look over there. Yeah, I can see them.